This is the Mobile Tech Podcast, brought to you by worldpodcasts.com. Now here's your host, Tech Girl, Miriam Joie.
Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Stay tuned for a special offer at the end of the show. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Joie, and today is Monday, July 7th, 2025. And as you can hear from the sirens out there, we're in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, baby.
Where things are happening, and I'm with the lovely Nirav Gondia. Hi, Nirav. How
Hello,
are
darling.
you?
It's that favorite time of year where we, the biannual, I think, twice annual, whatever that is, inevitable unpacked podcast.
Indeed. And actually, the only kind of bad thing is we don't have the devices with us. The last two times we did a podcast, we were able to set something up with Samsung to have the devices in hand. We don't today, but we'll have plenty of content to point you out on our YouTubes and, other things I'm writing for Hot Hardware and stuff like that. So check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes. But wow, it feels to me that Samsung is finally at parity with the competition, both Moto on the flip side and the Chinese folding phones in terms of hardware. And I mean, the software has never been in question. I think I know you're a Samsung guy. You love One UI. I'm not the biggest One UI fan. I don't dislike it. It's fine. The AI features have been very exciting and very solid. I think that other than Google, they're the most kind of polished and overall, they span multiple domains in a really complete
unified
way.
Complete way.
But I feel like the hardware has just been such a miss. On the folding side, at least.
Well, we're in July, so it feels like the very apt point to make a Christmas joke. But this reminds me of everyone's favorite Christmas movie, Die Hard.
Oh,
and all I'll repeat is, Samson, welcome to the party, pal. Because this finally brings us to a parity point, but it's not just parity. I think if you look at hardware as parity, but when you look at the offering as a whole and just availability, support, deals, and the shebang, I would wager that this is, even with the price hike, this is probably the foldable for 90% of people.
I mean, the price hike is inevitable in the sense that, tariffs and whatever, but and inflation. I mean, even if there wasn't tariffs right now, inflation's been real.
But just even the hardware. You look at the Oppo was $2,200.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But here's the thing. What I want to know is what took them so long? I hate to say it because, I have such an adversarial relationship in my head with Samsung. Obviously, I'm nice to them. And I don't want to. But they really screw up so much, so often. That finally seeing this is oh my God, it feels like a relief to me.
Do you know what? It was before we walked in that preview room, I was talking to Blake and he showed me his. And my guttural instinctive reaction was, holy hell, this is incredible. And yes, I've said this in multiple of my on-camera stuff recently. I think a year at least, probably too late. But I don't necessarily think because Samsung created foldables, the market as we know it, even though they weren't first, there's almost an expectation that they will be first to do something.
Yeah.
Whereas really we should all be looking at Samsung in much the same light that we'd consider an Apple. They won't be first to try something necessarily.
But they've never been last either, and right now they're last. I mean, Apple is a whole freaking...
Yeah, they're last.
At least Apple has not made a foldable and started the entire category.
Yes.
The fact that Samsung was the company who started it all, and they got completely leapfrogged for at least 3 generations until the giant awakes, and now we get foldables that are competitive at last. And even then... the batteries, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about here that I think they missed the boat on.
The highlight of the Fold 7 is how thin it is. And it is just incredible hardware. For the same reason I love the Edge. With the Edge, I forgave certain trade-offs. Battery life, things like that. Which, in the context of the industry as a whole, not really acceptable. In the context of a vacuum, passable.
I think having used the Edge, I think that for the average person in our markets
Easy.
that is used to charging once a day, it's fine.
It's simple.
For us nerds, it's a miss. But the battery life only, right? Like the rest of and the fact that you can't telephoto more than 10x, and even anything past 4 or 5x sucks. And that surprised me because a 200 megapixel sensor, and I'm bringing this up because this is contextual, because this is the same 200 megapixel sensor and 12 megapixel ultra wide.
But there's a difference, which is I think the 3x telephoto will enable it to at least get decent results at the 10x range.
Yes, but I also question, that decision of why not make it a 5x, because again, that 200 megapixel main sensor can do 4x to 5x on the Edge just fine. It starts to fall apart beyond that. So 10 megapixel at 3x, what does it add? Like maybe you can go to 10x now. You can still go to 10x on the Edge. It sucks, but now it will
It's appalling, and this will be better.
Okay, now it'll go 10x on the Fold7, and then it will suck at 30x instead, or something like that, right?
Which is, I don't disagree. I think there's generally a proof in the pudding whenever when we get our device in a couple of days, etc. That will be like, I think we're all going to go camera testing to test this and figure out what scope is that.
I'm not too worried, but it's not like, okay, I'm sorry, but like on the Chinese phones right now, like even the folding phones, you're going to be able to do like 30x that is good.
Well, I used the V5 last week, and that thing is, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, it's a 50 main, a 50 ultra wide, and a 64x periscope telephoto.
40 ultra wide.
No, it's 50.
They've bumped it up?
It's 50-50 and 64, I believe.
Okay. What was your take on that?
Really good phone. It's really good hardware.
Can
really
it do
good camera.
30x that's usable?
Yes.
And I don't think the Samsung will do 30x that's usable.
So,
I think it'll do 10x that's usable.
My gut says it will be.
That is not ultra.
No, but my gut says yes. It will be. You're probably correct. I don't know if we can. It's going to be really hard to do that until we go into actually go hands on.
The point I'm trying to make, and I think that in general we're going to be very happy with these cameras, but we're not going to get the same level of telephoto performance that you're getting out of the Chinese folding phones.
Even a Find N5 will probably do better
again,
telephoto.
12 megapixel ultra wide is like the 8 megapixel ultra wide on the Find N5. It's a disappointment. Like at this point, ultra to me, and this is what they were pitching us, right? They said we want to make a phone that's a bar phone that can open into a non-bar phone that is an ultra phone. Well, I'm sorry, an ultra phone has 3 50 megapixel cameras, or 40 or 64. Right, 48, whatever, something like that. That's the bar, and I'm gonna be mad at Oppo here because the Find N doesn't have all 3 at 50, and it really dropped the ball on that ultra wide, and but we got wireless charging, and the fact that Honor can do it, the fact that Vivo can do it, the fact that Xiaomi can do it, the fact that Huawei can do it means Samsung could absolutely do it, especially now that they've made it thin and light. This is 8.9 millimeters thick, 4.2 millimeters open thick, and that's the exact same dimensions as the Oppo Find N5. Exactly. So
I used a caliper on both of them. They're basically identical phones. Yes. In terms of thickness, hardware, stuff like that.
So that's what I'm excited about, is that we finally here in North America, for you in the UK, for my producer Theo in Canada, we have devices with warranties, support, screen replacements, carrier support that are competing with China.
Well, it's interesting because as you touched on me being in the UK, but obviously I'm in the States as well, for context. So in the States we have Fold, and that is probably our barometer, our standard by which to judge by.
And that's what I mean. If you look at this
in the UK, Magic V5, Magic V3, they're all sold officially.
Right.
So warranty stuff like that makes it very interesting.
But I'm sorry to tell you, most people will buy a Samsung phone. You know this, because your whole family is Samsung.
I don't disagree. So I'm going to tell you a little story.
How often do you see an Honor Magic V3 out there right now?
Rarely. I'll tell you a little story. My sister's currently looking at what phone to buy. She was tempted to go Samsung.
She's going to totally
She's been a Samsung user. I gave her my Razr to use. Because the problem with Samsung is well, she has really bad eyesight. So even with accessibility and the display setting and the display size turned up, the notifications are still tiny. The notification menu is tiny.
Yeah.
So she literally can't see her notification.
Right.
We'll see how it is on the Fold. But she couldn't find, for the Razer Ultra, front-facing screen protectors. They don't exist. No one makes them. And despite her looking for the last month, there is a very strong chance. She's been using my phone for the last 6 weeks, yeah? She's literally a very strong chance that she'll just go for a Samsung now. And as long as they fix the accessibility stuff. But like, my sister-in-law has been tempted to buy a V3 or tried to buy an N5 not sold in Dubai. Really looking at the V3 for the last 6 months. She's been looking at it. Held off. I spoke to her last week, and I'm fairly certain she'll just buy a Fold7. So
of course she will.
Samsung...
Once you see what they've done, this is finally competitive.
The caveat for me is Oppo and Honor, no denigration at all, they had to push this hardware to stand out. Samsung now comes in and rolls to, and basically rolls out, probably in my opinion, the sexiest Samsung phone ever made.
I agree.
On the Fold, like, it is just spectacular.
Especially in those colors.
Really I think it puts the competition on notice, and I think they've done it now and I reckon it's because the edge is going to be thicker than the Air.
Yeah.
But unfolded, the Fold will be thinner. And I reckon that's going to play in come September.
I am just impressed that Samsung has managed to maintain that rectangularness, but round the edge just enough to be comfortable. Yet it seems more impressive than the Honor and the Oppo. And I don't have the V5, I only have the V3. But, it seems more impressive because those are kind of more rounded off, overall.
This is more squared, less squirkly.
That's what I'm saying. And that means that you really notice the thinness more. And also the color choices, at least the blue.
That blue.
I know, that blue.
That blue is the thing to die for. But there is a downside to the Fold7.
Well, there are many. I want to talk about those. We've talked about the cameras already.
But the big one is what they had to sacrifice to make it so thin. And they did not mention it on stage.
Which is?
Yes.
Oh, the S Pen.
Yep, it's gone.
So this is official now?
It's gone. I have it on camera. They removed the digitizer layer, so there's 0 pen support.
So, let's just travel back.
The reason I brought this up, we do have a competing foldable. So Samsung's gone in the opposite direction to what I asked them to do in an article a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I said, I want you guys to follow the Find N5 and go stylus support on both screens.
Yeah.
Instead, they've gone the opposite direction and removed both. Now, Samsung, they listen, at the end of the day, they're a business. They have to make money. They have to do it. They're trying to sell out volume. They're trying to do it in whatever realms they are. So we've both built product. We know that there are trade-offs you have to make and choices you have to make that even if you don't personally want to, these are the things. But I'm going to quote something that Blake said to me earlier. He's like, look, at the end of the day, we know how many cases we sold with the S Pen. We know how many S Pen users there are for the Folds. And he literally just said, there isn't enough, nowhere near.
Look, I don't care. I don't care about the S Pen. The S Pen has never mattered to me. I think the population of people who care about the S Pen is like 10.
No, I think it used to care a lot and it's dwindling more.
Well, I think there's the people who are S Pen users are bar phone, Note turned S Ultra phone users. There was never, I think, a big use case for the S Pen on folding phones.
Only if they'd have gone and made it integrated. Had they managed to integrate it, maybe. But that's a maybe at a push, and I shudder to think how much it would
saw
cost
prototypes in Korea when we were there. So remember 2 years ago?
I wasn't there.
So 2 years ago when we were in Seoul for the Z Fold5, they took us to their labs and showed us some prototypes that, were there, but the problem, they were chunky, and that's not the direction that the folding phones are going.
Phones in general. We're going back to that old day of thin over everything.
So let's go through some specs real quick. So I already mentioned the cameras. I already mentioned the dimensions. The screen sizes are interesting too. 6.5 inch in front. That's very competitive with.
Was it 6.5 in
it's
front?
6.5 in front, 8 inches inside.
Oh, it was 6.5. It's
Yeah.
6. It's the Flip that's 6.9. Sorry,
So
yeah, my brain's over.
the Flip, no, 6.9. Can you imagine a 6.9 in the front? That you would open up, it'd be 9 inches. And maybe we're going there. Who knows?
Maybe.
But the
We'll
thing
find
is,
out
what
Wednesday.
what I like about the current folding phones, and this is including Oppo and Honor, is that they are compact size, like 6.3, 6.5, relatively speaking, compact to today's standards, like bar phone when shut, and then you open them up and you get that 7.9, 8 inch. Both are LPTO panels, both are 120 hertz, both are super bright, both are super high res. I mean, these are gorgeous screens, and Samsung's going to make gorgeous screens.
I put that against the Fold 6, and it's crazy how much of a difference there is, and it's way more than you expect it to be.
Yeah, and I think, like I've always said, last year's Fold 6 to me was a major disappointment because, and it's hard because my editors don't let me be too negative about Samsung. I hate that because I want to be able to call them on their, I'm going to be very positive about this phone on my review because it's what I want. It's what we need. It's what the industry, is doing. And that a big player like Samsung is finally catching up, as it were, is good news. But last year, all I wanted to say was like, in a vacuum, that phone was great. The Z Fold 6 as an ecosystem device is solid. But physically, the hardware was just disappointing. I loved the look of it, the squareness, the rectangularness, but even though they made it wider, it's still too tall and skinny and narrow. Like the fact that they started with this idea that the Z Fold should be tall and skinny, and they maintained that for so many generations. They started changing with the Z Fold 6, and now we're finally getting to a normal Z Fold 7.
I like the way they started this.
The first company who, I think it was Xiaomi, who did like, this should be the size of a compact bar phone when shot. Totally nailed it. And then, we saw the OnePlus Open did that really well, which was the Oppo Find N3. We saw that with, Xiaomi, Vivo, Honor, Huawei, everyone. And like, why was Samsung sticking with their thick and clunky, weird aspect ratio, narrow, tall design for so long? Like, who cares? Like,
no, I think I can, if I had to bet why. About 6 years ago, Samsung, during the earliest foldables, I was in a session, a Q&A session with some of their designers, execs and stuff at MWC.
Yeah.
So we asked, well, what's the life cycle? Because you can see that Samsung's evolution of a product lineup is every 3 years. Is whether it's more, not the revolution. The evolution is every year, but every 3 years you see that subtle change, that bigger change. So we were like, what's the thing? And they were like, yeah, on average, a product design cycle is 18 to 24 months. We will try and, if there's new technology, we'll try and bring it in. But the reality is we're pretty much locked at that point. So I suspect now it doesn't quite make sense because if you look at Fold 2, 3, they were a 24-month cycle. 4, 5, and 6 were a 3-year cycle. So maybe it does make sense. Maybe this was the natural it was going to be, and everyone else just went faster.
I look at it this way. We went from original Fold prototype, essentially, to Fold 2. And Fold 2 stabilized into a design form factor. 3 was the same, 4 was the same, 5 was pretty much the same. 6 was, I think 5 introduced the concept the hinge was perfectly flat, right? Or was it 6? Do we have 2 ways? I think it was 5. No, it was definitely not 4.
It was 5.
It was 5.
5 was when the current, was, yeah.
And then 6 was a little less thin and narrow and tall, like, that the form factor, the aspect ratio changed a bit. And now, like, we're finally, like, we're lined up with the industry. And I don't understand why it took 2, 3, and 4 to be almost identical when the rest of the world at that point was really trying. Like, they were trying different things. Remember the Passport-shaped Pixel? The Passport also shaped N, original Oppo Find N, which I still have, which is really cool. Anyway, the point I think I'm making is that I am so happy. As you said, welcome to the party. They're on board. The giant stirs and awakens. And that hardware, guys, I cannot understate. And here's the other thing we have to rejoice about. Nobody's doing durability on folding phones as good as Samsung. Now, don't get me wrong. The Chinese are good. They're close. But Samsung phones, you can really beat the crap out of them.
I've dropped plenty. In fact, I remember I've still got...
And
Wait, so it's IP48, isn't it?
it's 5.8.
No, it's 4.8.
Okay.
The only
By the
IP number I wrote
you
down...
see this podcast, we will know.
Well, I wrote down an IP number during the briefing.
I wrote down 5.8.
I wrote down 4.8.
It could be that the Flip or the Fold. Anyway, we're still mostly talking about the Fold. We'll get to the Flips. Just hang tight. We'll get to the watches as well. Hang tight. The thing about this Fold that's interesting to me is that they chose a 4,400 milliamp hour battery. They still haven't done silicon carbon. This phone. Oh,
that's the question I forgot to ask.
Look. Here's the thing, right? When you see that thinness of chassis, that beautiful hardware design, you're like, there's no way they can put a regular battery in here. They have to put a silicon carbon battery. And Samsung's like, hold my beer. No, we're going to put a regular battery in there because you're going to cope just fine with 4,400. Yes, we will. 100%. That phone will totally last the day for most people. Even for us, I'm sure we can get about a good day at CES with it. But guess what? That's not good enough. That's not where the industry is at. When you see what's the honor now? 6150? 6150.
No.
Yes, on that V5. Absolutely. I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, not the only one.
Because it is...
I saw this and I can't remember the spec now.
I'm saying to you that
I want to say
it's not
5850.
competitive. It's not competitive. The point is, even if I say, if you're right, it's 5850, it could be, then it's not competitive. So I don't know. I just feel like they just kind of lost the chance to go silicon carbon for the first time. On the Edge, I can understand. They're testing the waters. There's no waters to be tested with Fold phones. We know they exist. The
6100.
6100, not 50? Okay, I'm close. So my point is, when you...
Oh, no. 6100 typical, 5950 rating.
Okay, so the point is 6,000 in a nutshell. Like 4,400, that's 1,600 milliamp hours less.
Or
that's
just shy of a third.
That's probably like 12 hours difference.
Yeah, it's literally a shy of a third.
And,
it's just over,
And I mean, just to remind you all, we lost our freaking minds when the Edge had a 3,900. That's 500 difference. So, and this is a screen that's 8 inches. It has to drive that screen. That screen is bright. That screen is beautiful. I'm not worried about battery life. I don't want people to be like, oh, this is going to suck. I don't think it is, because we're used to charging our phones every day. But I think it is going to suck for those of you out there who are in India, who are in China, who are used to doing like 2 days with your phones on a regular basis. Like these phones I've been testing lately with 7,000 milliamp hour batteries in them.
Realme.
Like, yeah.
Good old Realme.
Oh my God, dude. 3 days, no problem. Working normal days with that phone. Like, and you're like, oh, I should charge now. And then you plug it in, it's 100 watt or whatever, and it's like done in a flash.
45 watt again, isn't it?
I didn't ask. Did you know?
I literally just realized that I spent 30 minutes talking to Blake and never talked about silicon carbon or charging speeds.
Oh my God, you got to go back.
Oh, I'm going to redo that. I'm going to add a B-cell on Wednesday and be like, Blake, I need you for another 5 minutes, bro.
You should grab him at the party.
Oh, I plan to.
Do a vertical video or something. Throw it in there. And anyway, look, we don't know. I figured it's 45 watt. If not, it could be 25 because it's thin and they're worried about the heat.
I'd probably wager it's 40.
And it has wireless charging, right? Did we ever confirm that? It better have wireless charging.
That's a very good point.
I don't see Samsung putting it out, but
yes, it does have wireless charging because they have cases that have the Qi 2 magnetic ring in there.
You're right. Yeah.
But the question now is, does it have regular Qi charging included, or is it only Qi 2 ready? Because that I don't know, but I would wager it's like the Edge.
It has to have
full wireless charging, like Qi 2.1 ready via their case. It's
totally fine. Okay, so basically, the other thing that's also interesting, and I can't explain this one. Anybody who's listening want to comment on the podcast and tell me if you know the story here. Did you know that there's 3 versions of the 8 Elite chip? Do you know what the 3 versions are?
7-core, 8-core, 4 Galaxy.
100% correct. You win.
Thank you.
Can I buy you a drink later?
Please do.
All right. So here's the thing. This phone, I didn't ask, but I'm pretty confident, like the Edge, which we thought for sure was going to be the 7-core, has an 8-core.
It's a
Galaxy.
No, it's the full same one in the S25.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like the Edge, the Galaxy, the full one, which is like the only phone in the entire universe that has the 7-core version. It feels like it was just custom made for them, is the Oppo Find N5.
Yes.
Why?
So I'm willing to bet.
Like, why bother?
I'm willing to bet. If I had to guess, it would be down to heat dissipation. But what also?
But the thinness is the same.
But here's where I think the difference.
I think all you have to do is throttle the chip.
Well, the caveat emperor for me comes in. I think Oppo went down that path, and that would have been the path that many would have chosen had the 7 core. The 7 core is honestly closer to like an 8S Gen 4
I know.
than it is an actual 8 Elite.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I don't think Qualcomm's charging much less money for that in terms of design fees and stuff like that.
No, because you know what they are, right? They're rejects that failed 1 core, right?
So I mean, they might have. I don't necessarily know if it was built specifically for, as much as it was, hey, Oppo's got to make a decision, and this was the decision and availability. Because it also comes down to availability. Because remember, as far as Qualcomm goes, I would be willing to bet that number one for as many chips as they want, by far, is Samsung.
Yes.
And everyone
100%.
else, take a ticket, pull a number, and get in line.
But there's also a marketing reason here. And I think this is where Oppo failed. Because you want to be able to say you have the best chip. Why did Oppo not put the regular 8 core in there and then throttle it? Throttle it all you want. Nobody will notice. You can crank it up during benchmarks. The phone heats up a bit, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like in everyday use, you're not going to notice the difference if you throttle a little
Price,
bit.
then, maybe.
Yeah, price. But I think it's weird that they had a custom version. All I'm saying is that I understood if Oppo had used the regular 8 core. You know what I'm saying?
And then tampered it down.
Yeah, and then I mean, I can guarantee you, when I benchmarked the Edge for hardware, which is pretty intense benchmark, like we run through a whole set of things, it throttled like you wouldn't freaking believe. That thing would last 30 seconds at full tilt, and then, whoa, I'm bailing out of here too much. And guess what? I guarantee you that Fold is going to suck at thermals. And it's fine because it doesn't affect the everyday user. I mean, Hot Hour wants me to do the benchmark. I do it for them. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't think it matters. I think the average user, unless you're gaming nonstop, get an S25 Ultra. Anyway, the point I'm making is that it doesn't matter to the average user. So throttle, it's fine. You can throttle a little bit. It's okay. And then you can market and say, we have the best chip. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen here.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting because...
Also, do we know the prices of the extra SKUs? Because right now, here's the pricing. So $19.99 is the price of the Fold right now at 256 gig storage base, 12 gigs of RAM. Then there's a SKU at 12, 512, and there's a SKU at 16 gig, 1 terabyte. And it's really interesting because they didn't tell us the prices. At least I didn't ask.
No, so
do you know it's just $100 difference? Because that last jump is a big jump.
I would expect it. Just a pure guess, 100 bump to the 512 and a further 200 bump to the 16, so 1 terabyte, making it 2,400, 2,300.
Wow.
This is a pure guess. And I suspect we will see the 512 storage discounted down to $2,000.
Yeah.
As part of the promos, etc.
Like they did with the Edge.
Well, they've done with every phone for the last God knows how long.
So it's interesting because I feel like I would have put 16 gigs. With all the AI they have in there, I would have put 16 gigs across the board on the Fold. Like, I understand the storage thing is like, you want, and it should restart 512.
I really want to see what the BOM cost on this is.
It's got to be high. Look, the reality...
I don't know. Because I think, look, on the one hand, the outright BOM cost will be high. But you can't just look at that number. Because you've got to look at it in the context of when iFixit and stuff looks at the cost of a component.
Yeah.
They're looking at that as an individual component.
Well, the other
Samsung is as genius as Tim Cook is in supply chain kind of resource management. And you look at most of the parts in there, the camera parts, the performance parts.
It's all theirs.
It's all theirs. And it's stuff that they are doing they're doing at more scale than anybody else,
and that's
which
exactly
means
what I
the
was gonna
price
say.
is like
for the parts that are not theirs, like the Qualcomm chip, they are only getting that Galaxy chip, right? That's the only thing they're getting, and they're getting it in such massive quantities, right? S25, S25 Plus, S25 Ultra, S25 Edge, Z Fold 7, not S. Although there will be a maybe G Fold at some point, or an S Fold, whatever the
rumor is it's going to be the G, and they'll tease it on Wednesday.
The point is, yeah, we're going to find that out. The point is, we should switch to the Flip because I'm realizing that we've covered pretty much everything about the Fold, but more importantly, this talk of Qualcomm makes me realize, wah, 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 wah. Sad trombone, Exynos.
Well, before we get to Exynos, let's talk about all the, the other Qualcomm devices running the thing is Flip7 and Flip7. Well, actually,
they're not. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
Both of them?
They're both Exynos in all markets, 2500 and 2400.
Wait.
Yes.
What?
Yes. I'm glad we're capturing all this because look at the consternation on Nirav's face. Julia and another person.
I remember they said octa-core and did not mention Snapdragon.
Julia and another PR person from Edelman, I told them, I said, I cannot screw this up for my video. And they're like, we're going to find out. They went, I came back. No, Exynos 2500 for the Flip, Exynos 2400 for the Flip FE. So let's talk about the Flip. Because welcome to Moto Razr circa 2023. Right? This is again, okay, welcome to the party, pal. And the giant awakens. I am so glad that the Flip finally has a 4.1 inch screen with even thinner bezels than
2.1 millimeters, right?
Very sexy bezels.
That's a sexy phone.
But it's because it's also squared away. The thing about Moto is that they make the bezels look thinner by having the rounded edges, and that's also why their screen is actually not that big compared to, I think Samsung's winning this time.
There's basically no difference.
No, I know there is, but in terms of bezels, there is a difference.
No, there's a difference in bezels, but size-wise it's 0.1 millimeters.
Yeah, it's the same. I know.
0.1 inches.
But my point that 0.1 inch is the bezels that are curved on the Razr and not curved, and it's really stunning to look at.
Should have just gone with a 0.1 inch. You would have lined up that's what they said. Joke. Anyway.
Well, you made it, so we're good. We've covered that. Look,
I'm taking it back. When they went through Fold, they made a big deal about Snapdragon.
And then they didn't say a thing.
And then during Flip, all I remember, and I remember this clearly because it was only a couple hours ago, was them mentioning octa-core. And they never once said Qualcomm.
So, here's what we know. Price, $1,099, which is what? Is it more than last year?
Same.
Okay.
Last year
went up.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what you're getting is a bigger phone. It's wider. And that's going to alarm some people, but it's not that much wider. But the reason it's wider is because the inside screen is 6.9 inches, again, with even smaller bezels. It's really nice. LTPO, beautiful, gorgeous. I've noticed the creases on these two new phones, the Fold and the Flip, are much, much less
so I can tell you why.
any Samsung phone before.
I can tell you why.
Please
do. Because I went through this with Blake just no more than a couple hours ago. So what they did was Samsung...
More curvature, right?
Yeah, Samsung previously used the U that was originally used in a lot of the foldables.
Yeah.
And that causes a divot over time.
Oh, it does.
So then they went into the teardrop where it bends underwards, which they've done for a couple of years.
Right.
But new to this year, and I'm going to hopefully get this exactly right, under the display is a titanium sheet, a super thin titanium sheet that where the crease comes in, again, I could be slightly wrong, go watch my video, sorry, but go watch the interview I do with Blake, and he explains it exactly. But I believe there's a small titanium sheet.
That's what they say.
That supports under the crease point. And raises up to keep it even flatter and prevent divoting.
And I'm wondering if that's a very beta version, a prototype of what we're going to see on the Apple Fold. Because Apple claims, well, they didn't say anything because they're Apple, but I think Apple will make a folding phone with no visible crease. To them, that is the holy grail. That's what
I don't think that's feasible anytime soon.
No, it is.
No, because these creases are still visible. They're no longer, you can no longer feel a divot when you run your finger over it. There's literally flat. But the crease, and that's where I think that titanium sheet...
But imagine that Apple makes it even less obvious. Like, when I say invisible, I mean like it's always going to be, you're going to be able to figure it out. But imagine that at first glance, like you're just glancing over the phone, you don't see it. Right now, I feel like there's two Samsungs, the Flip and the Fold.
Oh, they've already reached that.
They've
100%.
It's amazing.
Put it this way. If the iPhone Fold, rumored whenever it is, was to literally be a Fold 7 with zero changes, I don't think there'd be a single complaint.
No. All right, other things
And I
to
think
know.
that's testament to
Other things to
Samsung.
know about the Flip. So 1099, it has 6.9-inch display in the inside, 4.1 on the outside. The outside display is now 120 hertz. I don't know if they said it was LTPO, but it's definitely 120 hertz, which is the first time they've done a high refresh, which is like, come on. So, like,
I mean,
Moto's done that for 3 generations.
Well, let's not forget the Razer Ultra is 165 hertz.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay? So the point I'm saying is it doesn't matter to me if it's above 120, I'm happy. But the fact that 3 years in a row now, we've had an external display from Moto that's, 120 or something. So the SKUs are 25612 and 51212 for storage and RAM on the Z Flip 7. 256 was 12.
Yeah, because the FE is lower. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, we're not getting there yet. The point I'm making here is that this is a pretty well revised device. Like it's thinner, it's a little wider, it's got this bigger display, it's got this Exynos 2500, it's got 4300 milliamp hour battery, so just a little smaller than the Fold, which is interesting. It's got the same camera system as last year, 50 megapixel main with OIS, 12 megapixel ultra wide. I'm not too bummed about that. That's fine. I would have expected to it would have been nice if taken the 200 megapixel from the Edge and put it in there,
Or they'd followed Moto and gone 50-50.
50-50, yeah.
And 50 again on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get a 10 megapixel, selfie. By the way, for the Fold, they've finally gotten rid of the 4 megapixel under display crap cam and given us a 10 megapixel hole punch and 10 megapixels on the outside, same cam. It's that 10 megapixels that have been on every freaking Samsung phone.
You look at Honor as 220 megapixels.
Yeah, I know, but my point is, it's who uses, you're going to use the rear cameras on a freaking flip phone to do especially on the Z Flip 7.
On the Flip, I don't think on a Fold people will. Believe it or not, I think
video calls, I can see using.
But I think for the context of trying to use the rear fold, do you know what? Actually, I take that back because I think up until now, too heavy, too bulky, too thick. The Fold 7, I think, can still be comfortable using it in one hand for photos.
Yeah, plus it's really light. That's the other thing we haven't mentioned. It's actually lighter than the S25 Ultra.
Yeah, because the Ultra is 224, 223, and this one comes in at 215.
Exactly. Something like that. Don't quote us on those numbers, but close.
We ain't got here. We're just using brain power and making things up.
The Z Flip has the same essentially camera system, but it's a bigger, thinner, full frontal display phone, and it's got a weird Exynos chip in it.
But there's a problem.
Well, there's always a problem. The battery's too small.
Forget the battery. Forget everything.
What's the problem?
For me, the issue comes down to it is still that they didn't. I asked about this. I was like, look, are you hoping the Flip 7 is a curated experience like past, or are you trying to make it a small compact phone like Motorola? Because what
did they say?
Curated experience. Good Lock is
so no apps on the front screen.
Good Lock is easier to use than Discover, but the onus is still on you to go and discover it and use it.
Oh, Samsung.
It is probably, if there's one thing I think I would change. Look, with Motorola, and say what you will, with Moto, even in demos, you can swipe through, you can see 7-8 pages, you can see all your stuff, and you can get a sense of what that phone is. On all of the demo units today,
there was nothing.
There's 2 pages.
Yeah.
Total of 5
notifications, main screen, and then a few widgets on 2 pages. That was it.
Most of mine had 1 page of widgets.
Boring.
Look, so I can caveat and go, having again talked to my sister about a lot of this, because I judge tech by what is my sister. So my brother has a Mate XT, the Ultimate.
Wow.
It's sold in Dubai. He decided to
I'd be
buy
like,
it.
wow, it's a lot of money.
He regrets it just because I think he's had challenges when they've shipped from Harmony OS to Harmony OS Next, and lack of Google Apps and Micro G and all of that stuff. My sister-in-law's was gonna go find N5, can't buy it. Was gonna go V3, probably gonna go Fold, but they're very techy. My sister and my mum, just nothing, zero.
Get to your point with the Flip. What was the deal?
I think my sister would prefer the Flip over the Razer because actually I can understand.
Because she's a Samsung person.
No, and she's been using a Razer for the last 6 weeks and uses the front screen. But I think for a lot of people, they want to know that they could run apps if they want to, but most people won't. And I'm willing to bet there are reviewers that we both know that don't run apps.
No, I've had media colleagues of ours come up to me and go like, why would you ever want to run an app on the front screen of your phone? You're nuts. You're stupid. It shouldn't be allowed. I'm like,
so the context of that is
that escalated quickly.
It's the context of that is like, okay, this is Samsung's decision around this is what our experience is.
Yeah.
Do I personally love the idea of a small phone that becomes a bigger phone. That's what a flip phone should be, in the same way that a fold is a phone that becomes a small tablet.
Yeah.
We want to go from small phone to big phone.
Yeah.
So that for me makes the Razr more naturally, I'm more inclined to that. Again, we've had a couple of hours with these. There's nowhere near enough to make it definitive for the audience and stuff. But I can easily say for every person who's like me, there's probably an equal number who go, I like this idea of a nice, simple...
The bottom line is you can set up the phone out of the box experience so that it doesn't give you any of that, and it asks you, like, would you like advanced mode or not advanced mode? And if advanced mode lets you do apps. And Samsung is even making that difficult. And that's the problem I have. Moto walks you through that. They say, listen, you can run apps in the front screen. You don't have to, but here you go. This is how you do it. And they hold your hand. And why you spend that kind of money, $10.99? Give people freaking choice. There's no reason. Now, especially on a 4.1-inch display, with all the apps that we've seen getting optimized for running on small screens, that should be a problem.
So let me ask you this then. $10.99 Flip7.
Yeah.
$12.99 Razr Ultra. Or $1,000 Razr Plus. Because I think the Flip7 is actually more in line with a Razr Plus than it is a Razr Ultra.
100%. Except the Razr Plus does not have a flagship chip. Well, wait, the Exynos is not a flagship chip. I mean, in my book, I'm sure Samsung would be horrified by hearing me say the Exynos 2500 is not a flagship chip. But it isn't because...
It's not a look.
Yeah, that's my point.
If the only two chips I think they could get away with running to call it flagship would be a 9400 Plus from MediaTek or an 8 Elite. They're the only two flagship chips you can call it right now, and I will say that correctly.
And as an aside, I don't have my Nothing Phone 3 yet, but I'm still annoyed that thing costs $799, yet has an 8S Gen 4. Because if it had been $699, $599, I would have been like, okay, fine, I'm willing to accept that. But S25 is the same freaking phone.
I'll show you this. I have one over there.
No, I know you have, but that's another point. You don't have to show me. I'm getting a review in it. I'm not concerned. I just feel like it's clearly a case of Nothing not being able to get access to the chips at a reasonable price because they don't have the volume and the logistics. And, and it's okay. And I get that. But you cannot call it a flagship. It's hard for me to accept that for $799, you're calling it a flagship and not putting an 8 Elite in there.
So that, what's funny?
I've thought about this. I've had a week to think about this.
So it's tangential, but at $799, it's in a weird spot because with an 8 Elite, it's $1,000 phone cheaper. But here we're almost at a $700 phone that's slightly more expensive.
That's what I'm saying. The disruptor here is Samsung. The fact that in this market, in North America, and I think in the West in general, you can get an S25 at discounts all day long, primarily from carriers and from Samsung directly. Samsung does disrupt with their trade-ins and with their pricing. And when you get an 8 Elite, yes, the Nothing Phone is better in so many ways, right? I love the design. I love the matrix in the back. I think it has a 3x periscope, which is way better than the crappy 3x on the S25.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut in there, but the reality is, I think you talk about Phone 3. The funny thing is, I don't know how much people need. So talking Exynos, talking 8S Gen 4, super valid. These are not flagship chips. And yet, as I've been using the Phone 3...
No, but I agree with you. But it's an image thing. I hate the fact that Carl keeps making excuses. But that's what it sounds like to me. We're making a flagship. Oh, but 8S Gen 4 is enough. No, you're not making a flagship. You're making a pseudo flagship. You're making an affordable flagship. Oh, but it's $799. It's not affordable. Because you know what? You can get an S25 that's $799, has an 8 Elite. Now, does it have a nice 50 megapixel 3x periscope telephoto. No, it has a crappy little 10 megapixel.
Nothing camera is pretty impressive.
No, I know it is. And it was on the phone 3A Pro. I'm just saying that, yes, it's an angle, right? It's the way you look at it from a marketing perspective. I am 100% with you because we're nerds that we're happy with like a Dimensity 9400E, you know, the economy version. We're happy with the 8S
That's
Gen
the one
4.
in the Realme.
Correct.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. But here's the thing. The optics, it's the optics. That's the word I was looking for. The optics of, we're making a flagship. So to me, that's the optics also of the Exynos. This is why I'm trying to pull it back. Yeah. Because the Flip should be an 8 Elite. It should absolutely be an 8 Elite.
So FE running Exynos, I understand.
And let's talk about the FE in a second, but the Flip right now
should be running 8 Elite.
And that's why it doesn't compete with, it kind of does compete with the Razr Plus because they're both not flagship chips. And then the Razr Plus to me is a minor in a way. It's not as good because it doesn't have an ultra wide still. Obviously, it's the same phone, right? They've just changed the titanium hinge, and that's basically all.
What, on the Razr Plus?
Yeah.
Did they even do that?
Yes, the hinge got updated. That's about it.
To be honest, I think I did the comparison of year on year, and I literally just said it's the same phone.
The IP rating got updated too. The point is, I think that the Razr Ultra, deserves its place as the best flip phone today because of it does make no compromises. And yes, you pay for it. And guess what? You're going to pay for it. That's
and it's
fine.
thicker. But that's not a problem.
No. So that's basically what we have for the Flip 7. Now, the Flip 7 Fan Edition is basically what happens when you take last year's Flip 6, literally same chassis, same external display, and you stuff an Exynos 2400 in it, and you lower the price by $200. $899 is still too high. I cannot believe that they didn't go straight for the Razr minus, the regular Razr, and went $799 and said, just by the power of Samsung, of their One UI, their ecosystem, their AI stuff, which I think is better than Moto's, they would have instantly won that battle. And they chose to go $100 more for 128 gigs. For 128 gigs.
But forget all of that. Same price, Samsung marketing, done. Exactly.
So my point is, 128 gigs of storage base, 256 gigs of storage optional. And here's the killer. Here's the thing that's going to make this phone kind of crappy to use. 8 gigs of RAM for an AI phone. Like, AI has become critical. I'm sorry. Even if it's $899, you're comparing that with an S25 regular at $799 with an 8 Elite that has a minimum of 12 gigs of RAM. And all of a sudden you're like, why did you put 8 gigs in that thing? Okay, you also put an Exynos 2400. Does that mean that this phone is going to be kind of an AI dud? I don't know. It's like, is the Galaxy S24 Fan Edition with an Exynos 2400 a dud? I don't know. I haven't tested it. I have one. I should test the AI on it.
Let's go. I remember mine. I used it, almost finished the review. Don't know if Forbes ever published it, and then dropped it on the floor.
You had that problem. I've had that problem too with one of my reviews.
Dropped it on the floor and cracked
it.
Well, just cracked the back, and I was like, Rebecca, you need to take pictures now. Sorry. But going back to we're going to the Exynos for a second. I think it's a real. Proof will be in the pudding, but I am very, like, the Flip 7 FE for me, just love the idea. Brilliant idea. You have all of these parts, turn them into a second device.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. I don't know if that value prop exists.
That value prop does not exist because the Razr exists at $799 and it's a better phone in every freaking way. I'm sorry. It is. Because it has a MediaTek chip. It's not the best MediaTek chip. But it's probably on par with the Exynos.
7400X?
Yes, it is on par with the Exynos, 100%. Those cameras are probably slightly better on the Samsung. Yes, granted. This is the same camera system, 50 megapixel main, 12 megapixel ultra wide as last year. Battery is 4,000 on that phone, which I think is perfectly okay.
It's basically the Flip. Well,
it's a Flip 6 with an Exynos 2400. That's
but then the question becomes
for $200 less. So like, why? I think there is a value prop there, but the problem is,
I don't know if the value prop is.
The problem is Razr exists. The value prop is nullified when Razr exists.
So Samsung missed a beat. Rather than introduced a Flip 7 FE that is, for all intents and purposes, a Flip 6,
Yes.
why not pull an Apple and just keep the Flip 6 on sale at a $200, $300 price
to that. I know the answer to that.
Why?
8 Gen 3 was the chip. It's harder to get now. Qualcomm is like ramping that down, right? They're using the same die and stuff to make the 8S Gen 4, which is kind of based on it. So they could have you actually updated to an 8S Gen 4. That would have made more sense. But then their price would have been higher because I bet you the Exynos, the in-house chip, is way cheaper for them than any Qualcomm chip. Any Qualcomm. But then MediaTek is what I'm saying. MediaTek should be a wild card.
Well, here's the caveat.
Samsung has made MediaTek phones, for the record.
Yeah, they have. And their last flagship tablet was powered by MediaTek. I reviewed it.
Right? 9300 plus.
And it was great. It was fantastic.
So there you go.
But let's go back to
I like the white
Flip
one.
6,
That
Flip
white
7,
color.
the Flip 6, Flip 7 conversation for a second. Completely understand. They could have made those tweaks. They could have changed that. But assuming they haven't, well, now they've done what they've done with the Flip7 FE. That's not coming out at the same time, I don't think. I think that's a later thing.
Is it?
Yeah, from what I might
They're
be wrong.
not giving out review units from what I hear, so you're right.
Yeah, maybe. But also, there are a lot of companies, retailers and otherwise, who still have a Flip 6 and will still sell a Flip 6 at a few $100s cheaper.
I wonder how they're...
Why would you buy a Flip 7 FE when the
Yeah.
Flip 6 you
Yeah.
can buy that is 100% a better overall phone?
100% correct. So anyway...
Or maybe that will just, all of them will be pulled off sale. But I found that hard.
There'll still be some in the channels. The last products we got to talk about really briefly, and I don't know anything. I don't even know. I got briefed and I don't even remember the pricing. There's 2 watches, 3 if you count the new Call of the Ultra, which I just realized I never got a photo of. Oh well. The point is that the watches are the Watch 8, which is just like the standard Samsung watch with no rotating bezel, no fancy, but it's squircle now. They're going for a squircle design, like inspired by the Ultra on all their watches. And I have to say, it's pretty thin, which is very impressive. It's one of the thinnest watches they've done. And then there's an Classic, which is the Watch 8 Classic, basically. And that has the bezel that rotates his back. One of my favorite features from Samsung.
Classic is just a beauty.
It's a beauty. And then there's the Ultra in a new bluish color, I guess.
Matches the fold.
Okay. Oh, man. I wish I'd taken a photo.
I did not, but I could. As soon as we saw that briefing, I was like, yeah, that feels like them.
I might take a photo.
I don't know what. I think I have price. Well, according to me, I have Watch8 pricing at 3.4.
And that's for LTE or Wi-Fi?
Just 3.4.
Okay.
Which I feel like there's a few digits missing because it's not a $34 watch. If I remember,
$349.
I think it's going to be $349.99.
I think that's what I remember reading, and that's for the Wi-Fi. And then what's the Classic?
Couldn't tell you. I didn't write it down.
I think it was 4. I want to say it was like 4 something.
429 roughly. 449 roughly.
Yeah. It's like not $100. I can look it up, but I'm too lazy. Honestly, I don't care.
I'm just going to pull open the press release.
I don't care. Look, it's here's the thing about Samsung watches. You cannot go wrong with the Samsung watches. And they have some new features, some new sensors, and some new AI functionality that tells you how to run your life, which is what AI, I think that's an area where AI is probably the most successful right now, is kind of analyzing your biometric data and your wellness data.
So this is where so as much as I love the new hardware of the phones, the wearables have really interested me because it's been a week, I'm pulling open a couple of my notes, but the 3 things that I think, I didn't cover this in the briefing because obviously we're focused on the phones, but I'm like, the 3 things that really have me interested is obviously the tailored recommendations for bedtime, which is that AI analyzing sleep, activity, circadian rhythm, etc. There's a running coach, but honestly, I've never run. But the big ones are antioxidant index.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Which is that gain insight into criminal antioxidants in your skin, remove the watch, place thumb on your thing for 5 seconds. It's kind of like that if you're on the video. And I don't remember the rest of it. I've got rough notes. But the big one for me is vascular load.
Yes, that's a good one.
Now, having had cardiac and vascular major issues like a heart attack, this has me excited. How valuable is this going to be? What is it going to compare to the cardio load of a Pixel watch or the what is it? The 60-second health check on like a Huawei watch. I don't know.
I can tell you
But
right
it's
now,
super interesting about sleep, exercise, and stress, and that's going to be
I
a fascinating
think
one.
of all the watches that I wear, I'm wearing the OnePlus Watch 3, and it's my favorite watch hardware and overall experience. But in terms of the data I get, like the actual sleep, activity, all the cool stuff, Samsung, every day, all day.
Agreed.
My Watch Ultra is a better smartwatch, but battery life is so crappy that I cannot stand it. I'm so used to literally, this is always on display on. And for my normal, all I do is sleep. I've got continuous tracking on everything turned on. Sleep tracking and my activities are my main two things. And I get 4 freaking days every time with this watch. 4 days is gorgeous. It's glorious. It's amazing. I get 2 days on the Ultra, the Galaxy Watch Ultra. If I'm lucky, I get
They are
1.5
products, though.
2.5 days on the Pixel Watch, the big one. No, they are different products, but that's not my point. My point is, I'm trying to get to is that you cannot go wrong with Samsung watches because even though you can't necessarily get the battery life, you're going to get the best experience. I guess the best data.
When it comes to Android specific or Android compatible, yeah, this is the direction. Like,
Yeah.
unless you want to spend money on a scan watch or something along those lines,
a Garmin or whatever.
yeah. But we're talking, you've got to be really serious about that. And as someone who's had health issues, I would take the Samsung watch and spend the extra $300 on my own little portable EKG machine. This, that, which you can buy several devices to do things that will always give you better and more reliable overall data compared to any smartwatch, because those can allow you to track from all of your fingers and not from the wrist, which everyone in the medical professional will tell you, and I've spoken to enough doctors who agree, that's actually not the best place to measure 90% of the stuff that watches try and measure.
That's correct.
Rings on fingers have way more capillaries, way more blood flow. When, for example, I hope to find this out later on this week, but when they decide to eventually go down the blood glucose path and with the non-invasive, which
This is
nowhere
the holy
near now,
grail. The holy grail.
I don't think it will come via smartwatch.
No.
I think it's more inclined to come via smartwatch in partnership with the new kind of ring
Do you think
that tracks
that
it
is
via
why
your finger.
Apple hasn't made a ring yet?
No.
They're waiting for the holy grail and want to give us glucose monitoring on a ring.
No. I think they're going to go... I don't know if Apple's ever going to make a ring.
They need to.
I don't think they need to.
Yes, they do. It's a source of revenue. It's people don't all want to wear watches.
I know.
And it's like a no-brainer. They have such an ecosystem. Like, Samsung's shown the way. Like, this is it. Do it. I don't understand why they don't do it.
Also, but is that their number one priority?
No,
maybe in the future. Maybe,
so
I mean,
big.
Aura's a good example of that. It's a thing that not everyone... I don't mind if Apple doesn't make a smart ring. Genuinely.
No, I'm not going to be upset if they don't. I just think it's a missed opportunity. But the only thing I would say, I'm wearing an Ultra Human. I like it a lot. I like the fact that I don't have to pay subscription. What I don't like about it, and I keep repeating this, is, and I hope you are listening, watch and ring manufacturers, is I don't need that much data thrown at my face. I don't need to be told all this stuff. All I want is let me select the stuff I want to track and remove these tiles from the app, that stuff I don't want to track. Like, I cannot select which tiles to show on my Ultra Human app, and there's this tile for caffeine. And you know how vexing it is to a coffee addict like me to be told I can't have coffee right now?
From someone who drinks Pepsi Zero through the evening, I stopped using an Ultra Human for that reason.
You don't do that.
Going back to it, Samsung and Apple both have this incredible ecosystem. And the funny thing is, both of them are the two companies I think at this point I would bet on to reach that peak smartwatch.
Yes,
Okay.
they're very close.
Yeah, we've perfected the smartwatch.
I
Because,
feel
dear
like-
Lord, we are so close.
Oh my God, we really are.
And what I think comes next is the non-invasive, the glucose monitoring, the blood pressure, the things that work, kind of don't work, etc.
Yep.
But really, I think it's the stuff they're doing now with AI. It's Apple's rumored AI doctor, which didn't come out, but guess what did? Workout Buddy. And Workout Buddy is insanely good.
I know. And this is what I want to point out to those of you listening. I know Marin is pretty tech savvy, but here's the thing you need to know. We're talking AI non-generative. We're talking about the good AI, the machine learning AI, the stuff that actually can understand by looking at giant sets of data and giving you a good idea of like, knowing this data, what does your data mean? Well, that stuff is actually working. And that's the stuff that's used for training self-driving cars like Waymo, right? Like, so that's the stuff that actually is not like I might hallucinate AI. We should wrap up. What are your final thoughts on these Samsung devices in general, of what we saw? And I feel very positive. I really am happy to see that Samsung is back in the game. This Flip and this Fold, the main Flip, are finally competitive with Moto for the Z Flip7 and, Oppo, Honor, Xiaomi, all the Chinese for the Z Fold7. And it's refreshing to see that, I was really concerned Samsung might not turn around this year. I mean, we saw a glimpse of it with the Z Fold 6 Special Edition, which is kind of a proto version of the Z Fold7.
They kind of launched that because they were like, we're not ready for Z Fold 7.
But we need to show what we can do.
Yeah, I feel like that Special Edition was, we really wish we could have made this the 6, but we don't have... supply chain's not ready, or we're not perfected, or we're not happy, so we'll do this as limited edition.
But this is like, I think this, especially for those of you who are Samsung users, and I invest in that ecosystem, and there's a lot of them. This is the fact that you can now walk into a Verizon store and buy these two phones is what makes me happy, because it means that hopefully we're going to see some more people taking chances and going, oh, these folding phones, they look really sexy now. I'm going to try them out. And then we might actually get some market share back, because it's been decreasing strangely.
So what's interesting, my sister...
It's because China is not decreasing, but here in the West, we're having crappy folding phones.
My sister was so tempted to go fold and was like, she picked up a Fold 6 and she came to me and she was like,
no,
I tried it. It's really big, bulky, and a bit ugly, isn't it? Now, what's my final thoughts? Samsung. And the folds and the new devices. Long awaited, but worth the wait.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a great way to sum it up. Nirav, tell people where they can find you on the internet, where you write, where your social media is located, all that good stuff.
You'll find me at Nirav, so that's at Nirave, or at Nirav G for golf at the end, November India Romeo, Alpha Victor Echo Golf. You'll also find, and that's across all social, and hot.tech, so hot.tech is the domain, but also hot.tech spelled out, so that's HOTDOTTECH across all social media for House of Tech. I write all over the place. I publish videos in several places. The best thing to do is follow me on social, and you'll find it all there.
There you go, folks. And you know where to find me on the internet. I'm Tankgirl, TNKGRL. Like the comic book character, drop all the vowels. That's my handle on almost all social media except TikTok. You'll find me on Blue Sky mostly, and Instagram and Threads. And so please interact with Nirav and I. Tell us what your thoughts are on these phones. Tell us what your thoughts are on the podcast. I'd love to hear it. So, get back to us. The podcast lives at mobiletechpodcast.com on all the major platforms. So please subscribe. Tell your friends. If your app lets you rate or review the show, please consider doing that. There is a YouTube channel, youtube.com/mobiletechpodcast. You'll find a hands-on video with the Samsung phones and the watches once this podcast is published. And so you know how YouTube works. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the bell, comment, all that good stuff. And then there is a Patreon. If you want to support me, patreon.com/tankgirl. That's patreon.com/TNKGRL. If you want a video version of this podcast that you're listening to, and you wanted to get it in advance, a day in advance, every week, you can do that for $5 a month. $5 a month.
You should really go.
Buys you the weekly video version with extra content. If we go over time, bloopers in there, fun stuff. So consider supporting me with Patreon. Patreon.com/TNKGRL. And finally, I want to thank our sponsor, Mint Mobile. You know I review a lot of phones, so I'm constantly juggling multiple devices. While that's fun, it also means I'm spending a lot of money for wireless service on multiple SIMs. Thankfully, there's Mint Mobile, and that's who I'm teaming up with for today's podcast. If you want to save money on your wireless service, switch to Mint Mobile. You've probably seen the Mint Mobile ads featuring Ryan Reynolds, but let me quickly tell you how fantastic their service is, especially for tech-savvy early adopters like us. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? In my experience testing phones, Mint Mobile delivers the same data speeds and call quality as the big three for a fraction of the cost. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. No more standing around waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current devices and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. The whole process only takes 15 minutes, and if you get stuck, Mint has a great customer service team to get you through it. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning-fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint will show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Use my link, mintmobile.com/mobiletech, to get premium wireless starting at $15 a month. Stop paying more than you need on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. And Nirav, darling, thanks so much for being back on the show.
This was fun.
And nerding out about Samsung stuff.
See you in 6 months for the next Samsung?
Absolutely. Probably
maybe sooner, actually, to be fair.
So we'll have Nirav back on the show. And of course, folks, we'll have another podcast next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.
Cheers, darlings.
This has been the Mobile Tech Podcast with Tank Girl, proudly presented by worldpodcasts.com. You can visit us online at mobiletechpodcast.com.